essentially Season 0 is what they call it, the Doom season. But obviously, before I start this, any of these heroes can be S tier or D tier depending on the player, the team comp, the map, team ups, the enemy team, all of that. So all of the characters are actually good in this game, but they can also be very bad as well. So this is just overall what's best, what's most consistent, what we see a lot in games and tournaments, what I've experienced, who I feel is good and bad as well. But please don't forget, like, subscribe, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about your favorite and least favorite Marvel Rivals heroes and how good they are. Let's start off with, okay, we're dropping Jeff down, so a lot of this is going to be very different from my original tier list, so feel free to go check that out and see how different it is. At this point, the only thing Jeff is really good at is just his ult. He is good at healing, and that's almost all he's going to do. His damage is super lackluster for sure, but he is a pretty good healer overall. I just think there's a lot of better healers and a lot of better healers that have a better kit than he does for sure. He's a little bit mobile and has, again, a very good ult, especially on certain maps, but aside from that, you know, he's just going to be straight healing you, which, you know, his healing is good, but again, I think there are just better overall choices for not only you to heal people, but also your team. Wolverine. Wolverine is definitely a hot topic for sure. I did have him in C originally. I am going to bump him up to A. I do think he's an A tier champ. Biggest reason why is you essentially have to play him as your tank buster. He can kill other people, of course, but he's going to succeed the most when he's going after the tank, so he can scale up his damage output for his claws and then be able to kill. But he feels really good if you can get his kit down, and I think he deserves an A tier. Minimum, he deserves a B. I do apologize for putting him in C. He is my favorite superhero, so it was hard for me to put him down there. But yeah, if you can get an enemy team that has at least 2 tanks, like, you're just going to shred them as long as you're getting decent heals for sure, just because he does so much damage. Penny Parker I'm going to give to B. The only thing she is good at is defense. Let's be real, okay? She is good at defense. She's definitely one of the best defending tanks in the game for sure. If we're just talking, you know, she already has a point, she's S tier. Like, she can defend a point with her life easily, but aside from that, she's pretty much trash. Super easy to kill, not gonna do a whole lot of damage, and yeah, she's just gonna stand there and basically soak up damage and die for the most part, unless she's on defense. First S tier champ is easily Mantis. I think she is the best overall healer in the game, not only because she can do a shit ton of healing, but also her kit is awesome. She can do a whole lot of damage, as well as being able to sleep or sedate whoever might be diving onto her. I think that's huge. Her ult is okay. It's pretty mid. It's nothing crazy, but it's still solid. But yeah, I think overall, as a healer, she has the best kit, for sure. Just healing damage and being able to stop whoever's diving them, for sure, and a decent ult. But other than that, I don't think anybody compares to her as far as full kit, as far as a healer. Now, Cloak and Dagger, I am going to put them up to S. They were an A last tier list, but I do think they deserve an S. I think they are a good combo, mostly just because, much like Luna and some other people in the game, their attack can either heal or damage depending on who it hits, but then being able to switch between two, they definitely lack mobility for sure. It's not the hardest to kill Cloak and Dagger. The only thing that can kind of stop it is them switching back and forth. But pretty good ult. Nothing crazy with it, but it is decent. But I think the amount of healing and damage output they can do is super nice between the two. So I think they deserve an S. Minimum A. You could definitely drop them down to A. because, you know, much like Mantis or maybe even Luna, you could be better than Cloak and Dagger, but I think they deserve it. Overall, Kit is very good. Magneto, S tier as well. I think he is probably the best tank in the game. I think Doctor Strange is super overrated to me, and we'll get into him later. Stick around for that. We actually might do him next, so then you guys can hate me for that. But Magneto, I think, is the best actual tank in the game. I think his sustain, as far as he can shield, he can bubble himself, he can bubble a teammate. He has pretty good health. His damage is definitely lackluster, and his ult is okay. Nothing crazy with it, but still decent. I just think Magneto, with a decent healer, is pretty much impossible to kill. It's very hard to kill him unless you got Wolverine or somebody diving on him. Like he has a whole lot of sustain and some decent damage. And yeah, I think Magneto still deserves to be an S tier for sure. So since I brought up Doctor Strange, I'm putting Doctor Strange in B. And here's why. Everybody's going to be like, oh my god, everybody plays Doctor Strange. Oh my god, Doctor Strange is probably the best tank in the game. Here's why he's not, okay? If you take away his portal, which I will admit, his portal, probably the best ability in the game. One of them for sure. Like, top tier ability for sure. His portal is amazing. Game changer. Absolutely. No denying that. Aside from that, you take away the portal, what the fuck else does this guy do? Honestly. He doesn't do a whole lot of damage, okay? His shield, okay, he has a shield. It's not even close to, you know, a fucking Reinhardt shield, okay? It has 800 health, I'm sorry. But in this game, 800 health for a shield that's massive is fucking nothing. That gets shredded pretty quick. And yeah, aside from that, what are you going to do? Float up in the air? Yeah, he can stop a hella ult, which is nice. But still, other than that, like, his ult is okay. It's pretty decent. But yeah, I think he is super, super overrated. I think people are way overusing him, and he is not hard to deal with. Like, yeah, he just not hard to deal with. Minimum, I'll drop him into A. I do feel like he might deserve an A because I'm a little bit of a hater for sure on him. I think he's, again, super overrated, but he is good. He's just, yeah, he's not as good as everybody plans out to be. It's basically just his portal that carries him literally everywhere. Aside from that, not super great. Who else do we have? So we do have to realize that in Season 1 there are going to be changes to the seasonal buffs. If you guys don't know what those are, people like Hela and everybody that has the yellow icons by them, those will go away. So people like Hela, Luna, I think Groot, I think there's like 8 champs. So all of those are going to be changed. I don't know if they'll fully go away because I know some people don't like them, but they will be changed to different heroes. So even so, I think Hela definitely deserves to be an S tier. I think she, even with the essential nerf that's going to be coming to her in Season 1, I think she does such good damage, has a great kit of stunning, of being mobile to get in and out of fights. Her ult is good as fuck. Yeah, there's just really nothing bad to say about Hela. Like, there just isn't. A whole lot of damage, can stun people, which is crazy as a duelist. And then, yeah, good ult, good mobility, full kit there for sure. Now, Storm. Oh, Storm. I think I still have to put her in B. Biggest reason why is, even though she is not going to be insanely damaging, the fact that she is the most supportive hero that isn't a support hero in the game definitely counts for something. Just her area of effect, easy damage, area of effect boost for her allies and herself. Her ult is fantastic. Her ult is super, super damaging, super, super good. But her actual her actual damage is not. It's definitely lackluster. But again, I think she, with the right team comps, right you know, game mode or map or everything like that, she can definitely succeed. I do think she definitely doesn't deserve higher than a B, and you could definitely drop her lower than a B for sure, but I think she deserves it. Her ult definitely carries her for sure, but her area of effects are super nice, but she is super easy to kill for sure. McGee, like, I can't get behind her, like, at all. Like, low damage. She has super high mobility for sure, but other than that, she's still not even hard to kill because she doesn't move. Her mobility is moving 5 feet from left to 5 feet to the right. Like, you can see her other portal come up. But overall, her damage is not there. And yeah, I think she's not a problem and not that good. Same with Hulk. Honestly, Hulk is only good if you're running Iron Man, but still even then, that doesn't make Hulk good, it just makes Iron Man good. So yeah, Hulk is pretty bad. Just he doesn't feel strong when you're meleeing people, which is what you have to do. The clap doesn't do much damage. The bubble is nice, sure, but overall, yeah, it's just Hulk is only good because you essentially have 2 lives, much like D.Va, but not good. So, previous S tier Winter Soldier, I'm dropping down to A. I think at this point he's pretty easy to deal with, pretty easier to kill. I do think still he definitely deserves an A. His kit is still very strong. Whole lot of damage, can pull people in. Not only will help him kill people, but his team. Then his ult is super strong as well, being able to essentially have unlimited ult if you do it right. So nothing super bad. I just think he's definitely fallen off the S tier ladder for sure. Black Widow, I'm dropping down from B to C. You just don't see her a lot. I do feel like she's fun. Like, I have some nice games with Black Widow, and she can definitely deal out some heavy, hard-hitting damage, but she's pretty easy to kill. I mean, she'll still hit you pretty heavy, but, like, if she misses, then she's screwed, and she doesn't have, you know, a whole lot of mobility, and her ult is pretty fucking terrible. I think it's probably one of the worst ults in the game, actually. So yeah, I think she definitely does not deserve to be higher than C. Hawkeye, I'm gonna stick an A. I believe that's where he was last time. I think, you know, super high risk, high reward type of hero for sure. You can definitely deal out a shit ton of damage. His ult is good. And he has a little bit of mobility and close range damage. But other than that, yeah, he's just a backline picker for sure. But I can't put him in S just because, like, unless you're really hitting your shots, much like with Black Widow, you're not gonna have a good Hawkeye game. Like, let's just be real. Spider-Man, I gotta put in B. I want to put him higher because truthfully, he's not super difficult to play. He's actually super fun. At least that's been my experience thus far. And he can definitely rip up a backline if they're not paying attention or doing anything about him. I think honestly, even though it's not necessarily his fault, I think the biggest thing that stops him from being successful is honestly his mobility, because it's then harder to heal him. He's very squishy, so if you stun him with a mantis or anything, he's pretty much guaranteed to be dead. But when he is swinging around, there's only a few people that I feel like can really get heals off on him, much like Mantis, and other people not so much. You could definitely like tag him with Luna Snow and then, you know, not have to worry about him. That's a good idea for sure, but yeah, I feel like his mobility and damage is there, but he's, you know, very high mobility, very low health pool, high damage, easy to kill hero for sure. So good and bad for sure. Can work in certain comps for sure. Punisher, I think I gotta keep Punisher in S. I just think he's the best all around, like, guaranteed damage. I do feel like he's very easy to kill, but between his damage output, his turret mode, which you can't get him out of unless you destroy the turret, essentially. His ult is super good. He does have a tiny bit of mobility with the zip line, but it's not much, and it's still easy to kill him, with it on it. So you could drop him down to A just because it's easy to kill him. But aside from that, I think he deserves an S just with everything else. Thor, honestly, Thor is trash. Like, he doesn't do anything, man. Like, yeah, you might be able to put him in B, but honestly, the only reason, which you can maybe put Hulk up because he is a little bit mobile with the leap, and that's what I was going to say about Thor. But man, Thor just doesn't do shit. You have to like really be on top of him. And I am gonna put Cap in B above both of them just because he's way more consistently mobile. He does do kind of less damage, but he has a much better kit than them to me. But his ult definitely is trash. Of the three, Thor's ult is the best just because it actually does some fucking damage. But yeah, I just think these guys are way too easy to deal with. Like, I'm never scared seeing these two. I'm never really scared seeing a Cap, but he just has a much better kit to keep himself alive between how mobile he is, with a lot of different abilities, actually, and then being able to shield himself as well to keep himself up a little bit if he needs to. But his damage is just as bad as the other two, for sure. Thor probably has the best damage. But yeah, pretty bad tanks overall in the game, I feel like. Groot, I am gonna put into A. I do feel like he is definitely one of the best tanks in the game. I think people definitely underutilize his walls. Being able to damage people with the walls is massive. I think he has a pretty good ult. His damage is decent. He can definitely keep himself alive, especially with if Rocket is riding him with the team up. I think Groot is pretty strong. I do think, and I don't know if they have fixed it by the time you're seeing this, but or if they'll ever get rid of it, but his walls can actually stop the payload. So use them up when you're on defense. Stop the payload as much as possible with your walls. It's fucking annoying, trust me. I am surprised it's even a thing, but it is what it is. Psylocke S tier, I mean, just a beautiful kit overall. Pretty high damage, high mobility, very good ult. Like, there's just nothing bad to say about her. So yeah, she's quick, easy S tier for sure. Black Panther, honestly, I'm going to say the same thing. I think his ult is not that great, but he has very high mobility, a very big kit, as far as being able to use a lot of it. Lots of javelins for distance, lots of close range attacks with his actual melee attack, lots of kicking and dashing in and out. It's just a very highly mobile kit for sure with the high damage and decent ult. And yeah, he's not easy to kill either because he gets some shield from some of that as well. So I think he deserves an S for sure. Moon Knight, I gotta put him in A. Biggest reason why, while he does have multiple abilities for mobility, he's still very slow and not mobile very much at all. I do think he's very easy to kill as well, but his ult is decent. There's all of these ults that like you put out in the distance and drop shit, much like him and Namor, which we'll go ahead and do next. They're okay, but his damage output can be massive, especially if you cannot find the little obelisks or whatever you want to call them. I forget their actual name, but those can shred a team. Especially if you have some decent placements on them, and he can shred a team even without him. He does very, very good damage. But other than that, it's basically just very high damage and decent ult, and still decent mobility, but he doesn't have enough to throw him into S. Star-Lord I put into A. I do think he's a little bit easy. Even though he has high mobility, I do think he's not super difficult to take on. I think it's mostly just because his ult is insanely strong, and he still is pretty mobile and does pretty high damage. He's definitely kind of the Tracer. He's like Tracer with a Soldier 76 ult. I mean, that's basically him for sure. I think he deserves an A. I don't think he deserves an S because I feel like he's a lot easier to stop and deal with than somebody like Black Panther, just because Black Panther is way more mobile and way more devastating with his attacks because he has so many. Um, Iron Man. Okay, we'll go to Namor next. I still think Namor is probably just B. Um, nah, honestly, I gotta put him in a C. Like, yeah, he doesn't do enough damage. Like, it's just that simple. His sentries are okay at best. His ult is okay, but he just doesn't do enough damage. He has a ability, where he can ball himself in his water ball and stop anything from happening to him, which is great. But I feel like it should heal him, much like Iron Fist's ball. I think something like that would very much help him, but he's just not a problem. Like, I don't know a better way to say it. He just isn't. He doesn't do enough damage. His ult is like mid at best, and his whole kit is just kind of, you throw out some sentries that do a little bit of damage, okay, but they're, two-shot dead, and your little ball doesn't do anything but stop you from taking damage, make you immune to damages is great, but if your healers don't heal you, or you're by yourself, or whatever the situation is, it protects you for a few more seconds, which might be enough at times, but you know, um, Iron Fist. It's either B or A. I feel like I have to keep him in B, maybe go to A, but it's just hard because he's so close range and mobile, and he does have abilities to get him in and out for sure, and his ult is pretty good. I just think at this point, going into season 1, and this, I'm saying this late in the game like it's been out forever. It's only been a little over a month, but yeah, I feel like people can deal with him now. That's basically what it comes down to. I think the new up-and-comers that people are struggling to deal with are people like Wolverine, um, and all of these people up here still, but maybe A, just because his kit is pretty decent and he can heal himself, like I've been saying, but overall not so much. Okay, I don't know why that's like that. And then we will go ahead. I'm going to put Venom in A. I did have him in S originally, last tier list, but I just think he's not a big issue anymore. He doesn't do a whole lot of damage. He's just a super mobile tank. He's very difficult to kill still, for sure. But I think aside from that, he's not really a problem. He just definitely dives. He's basically like Winston, okay? He dives in. His damage is there, like he's doing it, but you can definitely out heal it, and he's not going to super bother you. He's just a massive disruptor, and then he can definitely keep himself alive to continuously bother you and possibly even kill a couple of you, but then he's gonna go out and come back later. His ult is okay. It's not insane, but big ass area effect damage can definitely be useful at certain times. Luna, man, Luna to me is overrated as well. I gotta put her in A. Fuck. As much as I hate her, I have to put her in S. She's good. I just I can't get behind playing her. If I'm playing any healer, it's these two first, and then maybe one of the other healers I haven't gotten to. I personally just don't really like our kit, but super high healing and damage because it's the same attack. She can stun people. Her ult lasts until it's 2026, and yeah, she can heal herself. Her kit is strong. not super mobile, but because she's so hard to kill, it doesn't really matter. Adam Warlock, I'll put him in A. I think his healing is pretty strong. I think he can do a decent amount of damage. I do think his ult is game-changing, can be anyway, but I feel like it's very hard to use. But he can also heal himself up. I'm sorry, revive himself. And, you know, continue to turn the fight that way. I think he and his kit is decent, but I do think he's pretty fucking easy to kill. He can obviously heal himself and do decent damage, but you know, him being easy to kill on top of then him being able to revive himself, I guess kind of go hand in hand. So we'll keep him a day. Loki. I'll put Loki at B. I did have him in C. I do think he's a little bit better than I give him credit for. He's just annoying is all he really is. I don't feel like he's very strong. I don't feel like he does very much damage at all. His healing is okay, but a lot of both of those things come with his decoys. I think his ult is pretty stupid, but I mean, I guess it can really turn the fight for sure if you ult the correct person to grab that specific person's ult and change the fight in that way. But other than that, yeah, I think I just can't really put him higher because I feel like it really comes down to, is the enemy team hitting your decoys? If they are, then you're going to do trash. If they're not, then you're going to probably do pretty decent. But his ult is just a little gimmicky for me to where I just, yeah, it's can't do it much higher. Squirrel Girl is the Marvel Rivals version of Junkrat, but she is worse. Her ult is worse than Junkrat. She does do damage, but it's just empty damage, you know? It's just hitting shields, hitting tanks that can get healed up, and it's not enough. She does have a stun, so anybody that isn't a tank, you know, if you stun them and hit them, like, you're pretty much gonna kill them, essentially. And she is decently mobile. Her ult is not very good, but I'll give her a B. I think she deserves it. I think her kit overall is decent, but she definitely just doesn't have like factors to tier her up for me, and not being difficult to kill. She just, you know, it's like Junkrat. It's kind of hard to deal with because it's so much damage coming out, but easy to kill if you can. But then, you know, a lot of abilities that kind of can cause issues. Iron Man, basically, to me, is only good if you're running Hulk. But even then, I just feel like, so if I'm looking at all these people, Mantis, Cloak and Dagger, Hela, Punisher, Psylocke, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Star-Lord, like if you're looking at all of the top people, and even some that aren't, you know, Black Widow, Namor, you know, Storm, Spider-Man, everybody is such a direct counter to Iron Man. Because he's essentially just Pharaoh. Like, everybody has, so many people have, like, essential hit scans or, like, very close to it, to where it's easy to kill him unless he is being consistently healed. Now, he can definitely deal a whole lot of damage. His kit is good. He's pretty decently mobile, not only being up in the air, but can go in and out. He is a good hero. But it's hard to always be successful with him because he has so many just easy direct counters. I mean, literally, what, 33 heroes in the game? I would say, like, minimum 20 of them are direct, straight-up counters to Iron Man. Like, if you're running 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 healers, you got plenty of direct counters for anybody to switch to if they don't have one. But because he does have good damage, because he does have a good team up and a good ult and a very good kit, I'm gonna put him in A. But yeah, I think because of all the direct counters, it's definitely hard to put him in S tier because of that, but I don't think he deserves a B. Um, Rocket. Rocket is difficult. His kit is funky. He's not gonna do a whole lot of damage. His ult is not great, and his kit makes him mobile and hard to kill, which is good for a healer, and he does good healing for sure. He does his job well. And his thing can revive and give some armor. So I'll put him in A, but he's 100% not an S tier champ. But I just think overall he consistently helps the team so well that I can't put him in B. Like if I'm looking at him and Jeff, who's going to do more damage? Rocket probably. The ult goes to Jeff 100%. The healing, I would say, is pretty even. I would maybe say Jeff. But then mobility is pretty even. I might give that to Rocket. But then that ends Jeff. And then Rocket still has an ability that gives armor, which is nice. That's not a lot, but still. And then can revive people. So that's pretty huge. And then his team up is pretty solid as well. Jeff's team up not so much. So I think Rocket, while not having the craziest amazing kit, is still very solid. And then Scarlet Witch. I think she deserves an A, and here's why. She is essentially Moira in this game. She is very mobile. She's not super hard to kill. Now, is her damage annoying? Yes. Is she going to do a lot of damage? She can, but she's probably not going to kill you unless you're not getting any help whatsoever. But if you're like 1v1ing in a room and she can't be mobile, she's going to lose the fight more times than not. Her kit is good. Her ult is okay. I think it's kind of like a D.Va ult. If there's enough time to pay attention and everything, it's super easy to deal with. But it can be caught off guard and just destroy your whole team. But I think she deserves an A. I feel like her kit is good. Her damage is consistently good. She's not the easiest to kill, whether she's going to kill you or your teammates or not. And her ult can be super devastating or relatively easy to deal with. But overall, I think she deserves an A. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Hopefully you guys are ready for Season 1 of Marvel Rivals here. I know I am. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what you guys think about your favorite and least favorite heroes and where I place them or where you would place them. And obviously we did not do the Fantastic Four heroes yet because they are not out and ready for us to, and I don't feel like we've obviously played enough of them to, throw them in. But thanks for watching. See you in the next one.